Hello, class. Welcome to week 8 of business communication. You are well on your way to completing the semester. You've now completed 2 team projects, and I hope that your teams are starting to build some healthy kind of muscle memory around how you're collaborating, what tools you're using. There's been a few questions I've received from students either in the group chat or discussion boards or just direct emails on how to collaborate as we have several weeks in a row with team projects. And so some of the best practices that have been shared with me or some of your classmates have shared is using Google Chat and some of the Google suite of options, right? A text thread, some students have found to be pretty helpful. It's a lot more real time and you get better notifications than email. And others maybe have set up some Google Docs or Google Slides where you can collaborate that way. So love to keep hearing suggestions on great ways to do that. And honestly, whatever works best for your team is fine. As we jump into week 8, there are 2 videos to watch. The first video from Brene Brown is a little bit longer video than some of the others we've watched. But I do think that you'll like it, or at least it'll give you some new ideas or some familiar ideas to reflect on. Brene Brown is a very well-known author, lecturer, speaker, and a lot of her content has to do with vulnerability and shame and leadership. Really, what I would say is maybe revolutionary is too strong of an idea, but very raw and, in my opinion, newer ideas in the business field. You know, if you look at the study of business historically, there was very little room in early business theory for employee recognition, motivation, even safety was not as big of a priority as it very well should be, right? In like early manufacturing in the US. And it had a lot to do with just production and getting the most amount of widgets made in the factory and just adding resources for maximum output, right? And it didn't look at creativity, motivation, errors. You know, if you have people working 17-hour shifts, they might make mistakes or get hurt more, and it starts to get sloppy. And so, along with recognizing that happy and safe and employees are motivated to do a good job, some of these ideas around, shame or vulnerability or just like lack of confidence in this imposter syndrome, which is an interesting idea, are newer to the business landscape, and I think it's important that we wrestle with these and understand them. Both for our own personal, awareness of these feelings sometimes when we're doing hard things, or to understand how our interactions might impact colleague, an employee that you manage, a classmate, right? And so I'll give you an example. Maybe there's a manager somewhere who really values direct and honest feedback, and they find it to be very beneficial, and they don't get their feelings hurt too easily, and that manager might give really direct feedback to employees who might have different preferred communication styles or just different histories, culturally or family of origin. And so some really direct feedback might come with feelings of shame or feelings of inadequacy for an employee if that wasn't their manager's intent, because the manager doesn't perceive it the same way. And so once we start to recognize those differences, I think it's very helpful to understand how our communication styles can be perceived and how different employees on our teams might want or need to be managed, right? Or how as a manager we might have to adjust what I would call like our natural tendencies to be a little more universally acceptable, right? Just because someone's very, very direct doesn't mean that always lands well, especially when you're speaking from a place of authority or power in an organization, right? You could really have someone question their value or their qualifications if you come down really hard, even if that's not your intent. So I'm a big fan for honest conversations, but I do think it's helpful to understand how we sometimes can be perceived even if we're not aware. So Brene Brown is the first video, and when you watch it, I want you to be thinking about an assignment in week 9 where you're going to create a video with a team. Most of this Brene Brown video, she's not on camera. It's not a TED Talk. It's more of concepts with some visuals, and it's more of a voiceover. And I think that's similar to what you'll be doing for your assignment in week 9. So think about that when you watch it. The next video that you're going to watch has to do with strategies and planning. And this, again, is a topic that will help you in your week 9 and particularly week 10 assignments. So tackle it just like a typical discussion. You need 1 original post, 2 responses to classmates, but be thinking about how this topic and this information might be useful, particularly in your week 10 Plan for Social Change team project. Okay, that brings us to the assignment for the week, which is a team project. The team project is, the goal is to pick a call to action on a topic. And I've got a list of options here: mental health awareness, social media regulation, workplace diversity, remote work. These are options. This is not the list. If there is a different social change topic that your team is excited about or feels strongly about, that's great. You're not being graded on the topic you choose. The topic is going to allow you to demonstrate as a group your developing skills in presentations and communication. So this week, I would say the high-level description is to build a slideshow. So you're going to pick a topic for social change, and then as a group, you're going to submit 1 slideshow, but I'm calling a presentation, that has these elements in it: an introduction body, speaking to some counter arguments, right? Kind of addressing some maybe very logical or expected challenges someone might have, right? So that's a persuasive tactic, is to not be accused of presenting just a lopsided argument, but to actually bring up what some of the objections might be and then speak to those. You need to support your overall presentations with at least 3 credible sources, right? And what I like to remind students, Wikipedia is not considered a credible source because it's peer edited, so it's always changing. And you can cite these sources in your actual presentation, or you can just have like a works cited or a reference page on your final slide. Don't forget that you need to have each student's name listed on the assignment that participated in creating it. And this is probably a great time for me to remind you that your classmates on your team are letting me know if you're not carrying your fair share, right? And so these are group projects. We're required to work together. I think that the output can be better sometimes for that, but please challenge yourself to not do the least amount possible in the team and try to just get the same grade as the team. I absolutely will adjust grades based on effort and contribution amount. And so if there is overwhelming evidence or feedback within a team that an individual or individuals did not contribute meaningfully, or they missed deadlines that they had agreed to, whatever it might be, I will absolutely adjust their grades accordingly. And if there's a team member who doesn't participate at all, then they just won't get a grade at all. They won't get the same grade as the team. If they're completely missing, then they'll just get a 0. So shouldn't be a surprise, but hopefully that's a helpful reminder that we need to take these projects seriously and use it as an opportunity to practice working in teamwork on a collaborative project. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help. You guys are all doing a wonderful job. I've really been enjoying all of your work so far. One last thing I wanted to mention. There's an example. I had another instructor share this with me. I have an example slideshow for this assignment from another class that put it together. And I recommend that you download this file to view it, and you get a better view. If you actually click on it in D2L, I'll show you. You get a preview of this PowerPoint file, and it really messes up the formatting visually, and it'll stack text so that it looks different than the actual file does if you open it. What you'll also see if you download and look at this example is this particular team put some additional notes in the notes field. I'll show you actually. But this team put some notes in the notes field of PowerPoint, which is the format that they chose to use, so that you can have a slide that has just some basic information, and then down in the notes field, they've expanded, or maybe like if they were going to present this in person, this is some of the information that they would share. So just know that it looks wildly different in the actual native program that created it than just in D2L, where it's supposed to be a preview for your convenience, but it'll really mess things up. So with that, actually going to end the video. Thank you all. Please reach out if I can help.